This video is a follow-up to the other ones in which we talked a lot about how the patch function works. But so far we haven't talked at all about what you should do and how to actually use it correctly. So in this video, that's what we'll do here. We'll talk about that. And you'll probably see right away that this is no longer Python. So this is this is C# or .NET. I just switched over to this because the patch function behaves the same in Python and C#. So yeah, I just wanted to show it in this language as well. Okay, so here we'll talk about what you should do. And I've got some notes up here, but they're nothing too crazy. So we'll go ahead and just start implementing it. Okay. So we'll just make ourselves a little workflow here. I'm gonna paste in a snippet, and then I'm gonna paste in one more snippet. Where's my await? There we go. Okay. So here's our little workflow code. We are going to, whoops. I meant to do console.writeLine. Here we go. Console.writeLine. Lovely. Okay. So what's it going to do? It's going to write this piece here. It's going to say first chunk, first version. Then it's going to wait for 10 seconds, and then it's going to say second chunk, first version. Okay. And in production code, don't do console.writeLine. Use the workflow specific versions of those, because this is not replay aware, and our specific implementations are. I'm just doing this for just so you can see things. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this workflow. I'll run the worker, and then I'll run the workflow. And then what we'll see is, it's running the first chunk, first version, and then it's going to wait 10 seconds, and then it's going to run the second chunk, first version. There we go. Lovely. Okay. All right, so now we've basically we've got our workflow running, and so now we're going to learn how to use the patched function, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is show us like one little behavior here of what will happen. So the basic idea is we want to wrap this in an if statement with a patched call. So we want to say if, and then in here we do workflow.patched. I'm going to paste it on in here. Okay. And so now here, it will run whatever code we want, our new code, right? So in there, we'll put our console.writeLine, so first chunk, second version, right? And then we're going to have an else. Oops. Like this, the style cop's going to yell at me here. Okay, there we go. Now we've got an else statement, and then here, we're going to do this piece. So first chunk, first version. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so now we've done our first patched code, right? So this was our original implementation, and now here's our new implementation. So this is how you use the patch function, right? So it's going to run this new part, okay? And so now let's go ahead and just paste that down here, but instead of these first chunks, we're going to say second chunk. Cool. And so now when we run this, it's going to run the second version on these two. I got to change these to ND. Okay. So now let's go ahead and run this. And instead of saying first chunk, first version, second chunk, first version, it's going to say first chunk, second version, second chunk, second version. Okay. So let's go ahead and run our worker and run our workflow. See, first chunk, second version. And then if we wait a couple seconds, it's going to give us the second chunk, second version. There we go. Done. Okay. So now we have properly patched in our new code. And, at this point, you may be saying, well, why do we even need like the if statement and the else and all that, right? Why couldn't we have just changed it to be this and this instead of our original implementation? And the reason is because what happens if you have a long-running workflow? Okay, so we'll do that in this example, okay? So let's switch it back to our original implementation just for 1 minute. So I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to comment this out, okay? Then I'm going to grab this piece here, okay? And I'm going to grab this piece here. Okay, so this is where we originally were. So now let's say we start running our code, But let's say our workflow, we decide to, like, let's say it's a really long running workflow and we need to go patch in, we need to go like update our code. We need to put in a fix, right? So this is simulating that scenario in which we have a long running workflow. We need to fix something in it. And so we need to patch in new code. And so when we do that, now basically it's a long running workflow. So we're halfway through. This part has run, but this second chunk after the await statement hasn't run. So now we need to simulate what happens when we patch in new code. Okay, so now we are deploying our new code, right? Okay. So now when we pick this back up, it's going to replay on the first chunk and it's going to run new code on the second chunk. All right. But actually it's going to not replay on the second chunk. Okay. So it's going to run this piece here. But now the question is, well, what's it going to run here? Is it going to run the second version or is it going to run the first version? And it actually will run this first version here. Okay, so let's watch. So it's going to replay on this piece and do that. And then as you can see, it ran the first version here. Okay, so let's pause for a second because this is actually genius. This is what you want to happen, right? If you patch in new code while it's halfway done, you don't want it to run old code here and the new code here, right? And so this is sort of the genius that comes with that behavior that may initially have been unexpected, in which it returns false initially. Let's go look at the event history. Okay, so there's no markers in the event history here, right? There's no marker written from this patch statement. So on replay, when it gets to here, this patch statement, it's going to return false. And then remember there's that piece where if it returns false during a replay, it will also return false in all of the future non-replay. Boom. So that piece right here is also going to return false, even though it was running new code. And that's why it was consistently running the first version of the code. Okay. So now that we have our new code deployed and all of our long running workflows are done, next time we run it, it'll just run the new code the whole time, right? And so now when we do that, looky here, we've got the second version running. See, this one was the first version because we stopped it and deployed new code while it was midway through. And this is what the patch function is used for. Okay, so I hope that helps.